Hey, and welcome back to the Horsepower Monster. I think we've got a really good one for you today. How about 582 cubic inches of all aluminum big block with some sweet old school flair? Fun, huh? But first, a little bit of background. Now, if you're like me, you think the golden age of sports car racing, some of the coolest cars in the world, came out of the 60s and the Can-Am racing with the funky little Porsches and the Ferraris and the Chaparrals and all that. You may even have heard of a constructor called Lola. Now, they didn't have the great success of some of the bigger manufacturers, but they made some really cool cars. And one of them was the T70, which came out in 1965, which was built from the get-go to take Chevrolet big block power. Now, that's really cool because what we're building is an engine for a replica T70 Mark III-B. Those were really cool. They had more success in the Can-Am series in the United States than they did in Europe. It turns out because the European fuel was terrible, and in America they were able to use avgas. So the T70 Mark III-B won things like the Daytona 24 Hours and some other races like that. And we'll get into that more here in just a second. Now, of course, any Lola T70 Mark III you come across will probably be in an automotive museum. But just like with the Shelby Cobra, there is a healthy replica industry that can replicate the look and feel of these beautiful cars without the $1 million budget it would take to acquire an original. Now, that's exactly what this big block engine build is all about. Prestige Motorsports out of Concord, North Carolina, got the call to build an engine for a customer's 1969 Lola T70 Mark III-B replica. And boy, that's a mouthful. But it's built from replica race cars out of Fraser, Michigan, like this one owned by gearhead Jim Albright. So Prestige came up with a plan to build an all-aluminum 582 cubic inch big block that pumps out 900 horsepower on pump gas without adding any extra pounds to the fiberglass bodied car. Oh, and it has to keep that old school vibe thanks to a set of gorgeous velocity stacks from Kinsler fuel injection. The block is a 10.2 inch tall deck aluminum block from Brodix that cuts over 50 pounds versus a stock casting. Now, this particular block has been ordered with a raised cam tunnel and a 60 millimeter cam bore. Large cam bearings like that can be difficult to drive in and keep square, so Prestige's Darren Beaver presses each one in with a special tool to make sure the fit is perfect. The camshaft is a steel solid roller from Comp Cams. It's been ground with 271 degrees of duration for the intakes and 282 for the exhaust at 50 thousandths of an inch of tappet lift. With the stock ratio 1.7 to 1 rocker arms we'll be using, gross valve lift is 743 thousandths and 750 thousandths respectively. The crankshaft has been sourced from Cali's and has 4.375 inches of stroke. Notice how the leading edge of the counterweights has been bullnosed to reduce windage. To squeeze that much stroke into the block and also keep a nice long connecting rod for an optimal rod stroke ratio, Prestige went with the 10.2 inch tall deck block as I've already mentioned. And you can see the notches in the oil pan rail to make room for the big end of the rods to swing past. You'll also notice that they are using one of Moroso's billet internal oil pumps for optimal oil pressure even under the harshest conditions. We missed it during assembly, but from this shot you can also see that the Brodix block has high strength billet steel main caps with main studs used all the way around. To go with the Moroso oil pump, the guys at Prestige also went with this fully fabricated road race wet sump oil pan from Moroso. It's got a big 8-quart capacity and a fully segmented windage tray to help move excess oil quickly and efficiently away from the crankshaft and into the sump. Extra wide sides on the oil pan helps keep the oil from bouncing back onto the crankshaft. But it also means the mounting bolts have got to go through the guts of the pan. It's a little bit of a pain to install the pan like this, but definitely worth it in terms of horsepower savings. Once the pan is secured, these O-ring plugs will seal everything off so there's no leaks. This little doohickey is an oil pan heater. You don't see these much anymore, but it will ensure that oil is at the proper temp when the driver hits the track for his first laps in anger. Camshaft timing is handled by a high-strength belt drive setup from Jessel, and then the 7-inch damper is an aluminum unit from Innovators West. Now, since this isn't a pure race car, Prestige also fabricated up a simple timing belt cover to keep both fingers and debris away from the spinning belt. Let's move on to the top side and get to work on the valve train. Those are solid roller lifters from BAM getting dropped into the 842 thousandths of an inch diameter lifter bores. They feature lightweight lifter bodies and tie bars to keep the roller wheels in proper alignment. Combined with the 4 inches 375 thousandths stroke, the custom pistons from JE are 4 inches 600 thousandths in diameter to make up those 582 cubic inches. Now there's also a small 10 cc dome to bring the compression ratio up to 10.7 to 1. The pair of multi-layer steel head gaskets are from Felpro and 41 thousandths thick, and head studs from Brodix will help clamp the heads solidly to the block. Like the block, the cylinder heads are also Brodix castings. They are fully CNC cut with 121 cc combustion chambers and 360 cc intake runners. The valves are stainless steel from Ferrea that measure out at 2 inches 300 thousandths for the intakes and 1 inch 880 thousandths for the exhaust. Up top, Prestige is using a set of fully polished nested valve springs held in place with titanium retainers to line up the valve train weight. The retainers are also raised several thousandths to increase the spring's installed height. Of course, this is still going to be a high RPM engine for a big block, so those springs are awfully strong with approximately 700 pounds of pressure over the nose. The nuts on the studs are tightened in 3 stages to a final torque of 70 pounds. The push rods are from Manton, and they go to great lengths to eliminate any flex. They measure out at a beefy 7/16 of an inch in diameter on the bottom and slim down to 3/8 of an inch up top to keep from rubbing against the cylinder heads. The intakes are 8 inches 600 thousandths long, while the exhausts are a little bit longer at 9 inches 450 thousandths. The final component of the valve train to be installed are the rocker arms. We're using a set of stainless steel shaft mount rockers from Crower. They keep the stock 1.7 to 1 ratio, but are super strong to prevent flex and have nice roller tips to eliminate friction. Both the intakes and the exhaust are set with a cold lash of 3 thousandths of an inch. And thanks to the aluminum block and cylinder heads, that will grow to approximately 20 thousandths of an inch when hot. Here, the Kinsler fuel injection intake is just going together. This will be a modern EFI system and not mechanical fuel injection like these engines were outfitted with back in the day. So that means we'll have improved tunability with a Holley ECU handling engine controls. So this Kinsler setup comes with all the tricks for modern computer controls. For example, the tube running the length of the intakes on the inside isn't a fuel rail, but a balance port to harmonize intake pulses across each intake port. This is a multi-piece system designed to give you some flexibility in case you've decked the block a bit or something else is going on. Senior begins by securing the valley cover, making sure the distributor boss is centered over the hole in the block. And once the cover is in place, the intake stacks can go on. By the way, check out these sweet billet valve covers the folks at Prestige had made just for this build. And they do have built-in valve spring oilers to keep the valve springs cool during long runs on the racetrack. With the butterflies open, you can see how smoothly air and fuel can flow down through the intake and into the combustion chambers. And finally, we get to install the crown jewel of this build, the integrated velocity stacks, CNC cut from billet aluminum and anodized in a rich, attention-getting purple. And of course, beautiful engines are nice, but they're hardly worth it if they don't run even better than they look. So it's time to put this 582 cubic inch monster to the test. On the dyno, as I mentioned earlier, engine controls are handled by a Holley ECU. Also, it's important to note that we are making these runs on 93 octane pump gas and not trying to pull some trickery with race fuel or E85. We tested first with 8 6-inch velocity stacks on the stack injection intake. Senior told us ahead of time that Kinsler warned we'd likely see a dip in power with this setup lower in the RPM range, and that's exactly what we got. So we followed their advice and put on 4 of the stacks in longer 8-inch units. The longer 8-inch stacks went on cylinders 3, 7 on one side and 2 and 6 on the other, and we tried it again with no changes. This change not only fixed the dip, but everybody absolutely loved the look of the mix setup. Interestingly, we did see higher peaks of both torque and horsepower with the 6-inch stacks all around. Torque was 811.8 foot-pounds with the 6-inch stacks versus 793.6 with the mixed 6s and 8s. Likewise, with horsepower, we saw 912.9 horsepower versus a peak of 897.1 with the mixed. Now, if you just looked at those numbers, you might think that the shorter stacks are the better option. But if you look at the total area under the curve, it tells a different story.
Just look at the averages. Across the pull from 4,000 to 6,800 RPM, the torque averaged 743.4 for the 6-inch stacks, but 6 better at 749.4 for the mixed. Now the same thing happened for horsepower at 767.1 versus 770.2. And I definitely think for overall driving enjoyment, the mix of 6 and 8-inch stacks is the way to go. But what do you think? Do you like the look of the mixed stacks? And do you prefer the higher peaks or the better overall average power? Let us know in the comments, and we'll see you next time for another great engine build. Thanks a lot.